Hello. So today I'm going to be talking about holding deposits. Now these have changed recently with the Tenant Fee Ban Act coming in. So I'm going to talk about what are holding deposits, what you need to do once you've got one, when you need to return it and how to return it. So I'm going to start with what is a holding deposit. So this is a maximum of 1 week's worth of rent, which you will take from an applicant who's interested in your property. And this basically holds the property for them while they're going through referencing and everything like that. So once you've got a holding deposit, you must remove the property from the market. You can only take one holding deposit per property. And then what you also need to do is provide the tenant with a written document. Now you can write this yourself, it's not in prescribed form, which basically explains why you're taking the holding deposit, what the holding deposit is for, so obviously to secure the property, and how and why you can retain the holding deposit, and I'll go over that in just a minute. The other thing you need to do is provide the applicant with a draft copy of the tenancy agreement. Now this is part of the new regulations under the Tenant Fee Ban Act, and if you don't do this, it's quite possible that the tenant could report you to the local authority saying that you haven't abided by the regulations. So it's really important, and it can literally have draft written across it. As you know, you can do that as watermarks, and doesn't have to have any names or addresses or anything in the tenancy agreement, but they must receive a draft copy of the tenancy agreement. So the other issue is the fact that the holding deposits now have time limits on them. So from the day you receive the holding deposit, the clock starts ticking, and you literally have 14 days to process the tenant into getting them into a tenancy agreement. So if you're going through referencing, ideally that all needs to be processed within the 14 days, and you need to get their signature on a tenancy agreement within that 14-day period. Now obviously, as we know, it doesn't always work to plan. Tenants don't always provide everything that you've asked for. The referencing company is a little slow, landlords aren't getting back with regards to landlord referencing, etc, etc. So what you can do and what you have to do, if it looks like you're going to go past the 14 days of holding the holding deposit, you need to get a written agreement with the tenant to extend that 14 days. Now, if you don't do this, again, the tenant can report you and you can be fined for breaking the Tenant Fee Ban Act. It's a lot to take in, I fully appreciate that. But it's just really important to get the basics of the holding deposit process and the admin right. Now, there are times when you can hold a holding deposit and not refund it to the tenant. They are limited now, but 9 times out of 10 you can withhold the deposit if the tenant pulls out of the let for no good reason. And if they're in a situation where, for example, they've provided false information to get the tenancy, then you can keep hold of the tenancy deposit in that respect. But if you as a landlord or a letting agent pull out of the let, then you have to return the deposit. And if there's any time that you may have breached the Tenant Fee Ban Act with regards to how you've dealt with the holding deposit, you would need to return it then as well. I will put a link in this video to the Tenant Fee Ban Act guidance, and if you want any more information, do please drop me a comment in the box and I will answer your questions. Thank you.